Well, hey there, hobby homesteaders. Welcome back to Peaks Peak. I'm Lucas.
I'm Caden.
And we are back up at the Woodyard. And today is an exciting day because we get to start milling those pine logs that we harvested. Do you remember what we're making?
No.
We're making the siding for our mill shed.
Siding?
Yeah, so we're gonna put some siding on the mill shed. Not a lot because we're not gonna cover all the sides. I like to work out in the open as much as possible, so I don't want to just totally enclose it, but we're going to enclose kind of the top edges and then maybe one end of it where we can put some shelves on the wall and store some tools and things like that. We're going to get as much siding out of these pine logs as we can get. We ended up with 10.5 logs. I think we're going to be able to get a fair amount of siding, but I started thinking about my strategy because some of these logs are not very big, so I'm not going to be able to mill like all 10-inch siding boards. So I think I may shoot for like 8-inch boards, 8-inch 1-bys, and then we'll make batten strips out of some of the smaller logs. Hey, you want to tell everybody what you've been doing lately? What are you training for?
A 5K.
You are? So you've been going to the gym? What's your workout?
Bicycle and treadmill.
Bicycle and treadmill. I started to work out too. I do a lot of sitting at a desk in my day job, and that's just not me. And I could just tell that I would get out of breath easier than I used to, and I didn't like it. So I've started exercising every day, and I already, I'm only a few weeks in, but I already feel a lot better. I've got the first big pine log on the mill already, and I just got to get my forks out of the way and get ready to get to work. So all of my logs are 10-footers. So, all right, that'll give me a decent level place to stack what we mill today. Like I said, we're going to be using it pretty quickly, so may bring a sheet of metal up here to lay over it until we get it all milled up and ready to go. But we'll let the mill warm up. And we haven't started it for probably a week and a half, and one pull. It's a good little motor. Take the blower and blow this off. Let's look at it. Nice, thank you. So this round I didn't bother with the motorcycle jack. I just, eyeballed it and leveled it up, and well, that's pretty level. Not just dead on perfect, but pretty level. So this Viking Woodsman is not sharp enough. I'm gonna have to sharpen the end of it, or I'm not gonna be happy with it. I found that I like using a speed square to set on the bunks to make sure that I've got it square and get a nice square cant. We're going to take 9 1/4 inch boards out of this, and I think we'll get at least 9 of them out of this camp. So off to a good start. Okay, I think I've decided to make my boards 3/4 inch thick. My main thing is I'm going to be limited on the amount of logs that I have for this that are all the same species, because I don't have a lot of pine here. So I have a few more that I could go take if I have to have some more siding, but I really don't want to take down trees that aren't ready. I think I'll go with 3/4 inch and get as many as I can. All right, Caden, got a job for you. I need you to place stickers. That's these sticks right here. Need you to place stickers. There'll be 4 of them, 1 on each top of each of those blocks, so I can stack the next row of boards, okay? All right, now this may get me made fun of because I'm showing the wood grain on pine and thinking how beautiful it is, but man, these are my trees. I cut them down. I'm turning them into siding for my mill shed. That's exciting to me. That's what this is all about. I'm having a blast. And you guys can let me know how you think this is gonna work out for me, but my decision to use the 3/4 inch scale on the mill, it's leaving me with like 11/16 inch boards, which I think is going to be just fine. But is that going to cause them to bow and warp more easily as they dry out, or cause me any kind of problems that I'm not thinking of? Because I'm not worried about, you know, it's not for strength of structure or anything like that. It's mainly decorative. I mean, the roof is built and stable. I want to maximize how many pieces of siding I can get out of these logs that I have. So that's why I'm going this route. But, you know, I've already headed down that road, so this is how we're going to do it now. But you can tell me what kind of problems you think I'll have with this. We are 5 boards deep, and I don't think we're even halfway through this cant yet. So I think I'm gonna get a lot of siding out of this. This is just so cool. So I don't think I'd actually kind of showed the inner workings of this mill much since I've started milling with it, but I thought I'd show you, you know, the setup here. And this is all very similar to that Woodland Mills HM130 Max that I used of my friends. I do think maybe I need to tighten this belt just a little bit at this point. It's not slipping or anything yet, but I gotta watch that. And the other thing you gotta watch is make sure you keep these wheels in adjustment to where you can kind of see your tooth run out on the edge, and you want just basically the tooth sticking out past that wheel. And as the blade heats up, the first couple of times that I milled logs, the blade heated up, and I don't know if it loosened up or what, but things kind of got out of adjustment to where it walked the blade back off the belt. And I ended up actually breaking one blade that way. So now, periodically, I stop and I check and make sure my blade is good and tight. I decided to tighten the belt. And it's a real simple adjustment. You just loosen the 4 bolts on the motor plate so that it will slide, so the motor will slide on the plate. And then this, you tighten that nut and it pulls the whole plate that direction. So we've tightened her a little bit. Let me check and see how we look. Oh, that's much better, yeah. Yeah, we had just a little bit too much slack in that before. So we are ready to rock and roll again. So I actually mentioned something earlier that I was going to do, and I forgot to do it when I got down to my last board here. The reason you need a bunk on the end is because when you get to the end and these boards are just like one skinny board, it will curve down at the end. As the blade approaches, it'll push it down, and you end up with a flare on your bottom board, and your top board thins out on the end. So I kind of ruined this one board here, about the last 2 feet of it, because I let it do that. And then what I had to do is flip the other flared board around and cut the other end off of it to make it uniform. Now, all that being said, I got 14 10-foot by 9 1/4 inch boards, pine boards for siding. 14 boards out of the one log. I think maybe I overestimated how many logs I'm going to need to be able to do this, because if I can get 14 boards out of that log, then we're going to have plenty of siding. But it also means I probably could have went with 1-bys and been just fine. Oh well. We've got some nice 5/8 inch boards here, and I'll tell you what I'm most impressed with is, other than my not working the end of this correctly, what I need to do is move this last bunk in to where it's at the point that the mill head comes just out to it and stops. It will give me a focal point for where I need to place my logs, but it also will keep them from trailing off at the end. And I really kind of feel like, well, there's a set of holes right up here towards the end, and I'll probably move it to that, and that'll put it out just about where it needs to be. So I think that's one of the assembly things that kind of needs to be noted. If you're going to get this mill, you need your bunk in where it's going to be at the right place to support it. Then you won't have this problem. But look at this board. I mean, I would say this is about my 20th log milling. Probably about 10 on this mill. Maybe 8, I don't know. But anyway, I made 14 5/8 inch boards that are very uniform, very square. They all came out really well, and they didn't bow and warp and all of that yet.
Smells
So
really good.
it does smell really good, doesn't it?
Smells like orange.
Yeah. You playing in the sawdust? Look at that boy.
I'm laying down in it.
Yeah. One good thing about it, boys will wash. So I don't care what he does. He can get dirty, play in the mud, play in the sawdust, whatever he wants to do to have fun. It's a good time. Well, guys, that's one log down, and we've got 10 more over there. All right, guys, well, it started raining on us, and of course, we're under roof, so that's all good. But rather than go out and get on the tractor in the rain and move a log in here, I decided to do those things I was talking about and move this bunk in where it needs to be to support the end of the log. And then I also, because of the way I set up my supports for my mill, these railroad ties interfered with these tall log stops, and I couldn't drop them down any. So I took my chainsaw and I carved notches so that these will slide down further, and I won't have to always use those short log stops. So now we're all set up, and I think the rain has passed. So I'm gonna get Caden to take his sweatshirt and go wipe my tractor seat off.
That stinks.
What stinks?
Your farm. It stinks.
It is what it is. I don't know what you're talking about. It's probably the sawdust.
Bro, that sawdust smells good.
All right, go dry my tractor seat off.
Already did.
No, you didn't. I see the back of it's all wet. I don't want to be all wet. I'm a tender little guy. We got the Artillion tractor forks on, and we're ready to go pick up a log. See you in a little bit. So got the saw warming up in the background. I'm gonna kind of clean up a little bit before I mill anymore. I might mill one more log, but I like to do 2 logs and then cut my slabs and clean that up. That way I'm not left with a mess. And what I've been doing is, like, when you'll have a log that comes down to a little thin nothing here on the end like this, I leave that hanging over the end so that I can cut that off and run it through the chipper. That way I can get chips covering all the mud up here, and also I'm not putting just little scraps, worthless scraps in my firewood. So I'm trying to keep the slabs big enough that they're worthwhile for firewood, and just grind the rest of it up in the chipper, spread it on the ground. We'll let it warm up just a minute before we pour the cubs to it. Chunks in, and when you do that, you got to watch and be on guard so that you can stop it and not burn your clutch or your belts up. Yeah, I got just a little too many in there. When you finish, you want to let it wind down, and then we'll make sure that we clean it out, because if you leave chunks in there, then they might jam it up when you try to start it. The blade will be stuck and you'll burn up your clutch or your belts like that too. So once it stops spinning, then we'll open her up, check it out. So you'll have just little chunks that are left over. You got to be careful not to fire it up with those chunks in there, because if you do, you'll have problems. And just like that, we went through the whole cycle of the Woodyard. Now I've got to clear off my firewood, but I've got forks on the tractor right now, so I may have to lay me some boards on there so I can stack the wood on it and then take it over and process it. Let's go split some wood. Now I have more exciting news coming to the channel, and it involves the log splitter. And I'm gonna save that for a couple of weeks until we get everything sorted out and we know exactly what's gonna take place. But we've got more big things coming from Peaks Pete. Well guys, it's been a productive day up here in the Woodyard. We got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We got 26 siding boards cut. They are 9 1/4 inches wide and 10 foot long. So yeah, I mean, I feel really good about that. And I think I might go ahead and mill one more log, but I'm gonna go ahead and shut this video down. It's been a good time, and Caden has been playing with his wrestling men in the sawdust, and Maple's over here having a high old time with us, sitting in the shade and checking out all the new sights and sounds. Hope you enjoyed today's video, guys. We appreciate you all watching. Until next time, get outside and enjoy God's creation, because it is absolutely beautiful out here. Y'all have a good day.